this is Noreen from Joy of Cards, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Yay! For more of my Stampin' Up card videos, please click that subscribe button and the little bell, and you'll be notified when my videos release. Also, I give away the demo card, so if you're a first-time subscriber, put your email in the comments and I'll email you back and let you know if you won the card. Also, make sure you watch the video all the way through, because you never know, I might give the card away to anyone, or I might be doing card kits or swaps or something. So anyway, now let's go make a card. Today's card, we're going to learn 4 different techniques in one card, and we're going to be using Artic Bears, and we're going to be using the Give It a Whirl. So this is one of those ones that, you know, turns, and it's the cute little fish and the mama and the baby bear. So Give It a Whirl. We're also going to be using the polar bear dies, and we're going to use the fish from Whirl done, and from Mountain Air we're going to use these clouds. So let's go ahead and get started. So the base of this card is a basic black 5.5 by 4 1/4, and let's go ahead and do the inside first. Now lately I haven't been putting sentiments inside my cards, and that's because I have so many cards. Sometimes I need, you know, like a birthday card or something else, and all my sentiments are saying other things. So I've been leaving the inside blank. So let's go ahead and do the inside real quick. And we're going to be using Memento, we're going to be using Pacific Point, and Balmy Blue. And the Pacific Point, the measurements are 5 1/4 by 4, so we'll do that real quick. And then for the Balmy Blue, we're going to be taking the little fish from Whirl done right here, and I'm just going to decorate the bottom. So I think that's going to be a lot of what I'm going to be doing lately, is just I'll decorate the inside, but just kind of leave it, leave the rest alone. So and then I'm just going to snail this inside, and then the inside of the card will be done. Now don't forget, I give away the demo card. If you like and subscribe, you can win the demo card. You just have to put in the comments, hey, I want to win the demo card, and you have to leave your email address, otherwise I can't talk to you. So like, subscribe, and if you're a current subscriber and you've never won a card, you can still win a card if you haven't gotten one yet. So go ahead and do the same thing. Hey, I've already subscribed, I didn't get a card, and leave your email. So now let's do the front of the card. So we're going to be doing the dies from Give It a Whirl. Now I did a video, I just did it on August 8th, 2021, how Give It a Whirl assembly tutorial. It tells you how to do all these dies. So go ahead and refer to that video so you know what all these are, because I didn't do this one for a while because it was a little intimidating. It's like, I just don't have time to figure that out. So go to the tutorial and I'll go over all the dies that come with it. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a Pacific Point. Now this is the main part of the Give It a Whirl, and this is kind of an odd shape, and so your mat has to be kind of an odd shape. And this Pacific Point is cut 4 by 5 3/8, because it's just shy of what you think it would be. So I'm going to go ahead and stick it on the card front. Now I'm going to take a piece of Shimmery White, and I'm going to die cut this main die. So the title of this video is Learn 4 Techniques. We are going to be learning masking, blending, die embossing, and heat embossing. So let's take that Shimmery White. Remember, I cut this in Shimmery White, and because we're going to be doing some blending, that's why I'm using Shimmery. Now Shimmery White is in the catalog, and it's on page 136. It's right here, and this is great for blending and just making something like this. Is supposed to be snow, and I wanted to make it look a little shimmery, so that's great paper. And by the way, here's the Give It a Whirl die. It's on page 57, and the polar bears are in the new mini catalog. If you don't have one, put your email in the comments and I'll contact you back and I'll mail you out one. So it's on page 39, and it's Celebration too right now. I don't know when you're watching the video, but you place an order for $50 or more, you get some free stuff. So don't forget about that. So Shimmery White. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to take these bears. We're going to take the mama bear first. And I know it's an orange stamp and I don't need to use a stamping pad, but I do. So, and you don't really need it. These are actually, you know, all stamps are not created equal. And this one prints or stamps pretty good. So don't have to worry about it. I'm going to put her all the way over to the left and about right here. So I'm going to stamp her first. And then I'm going to do her little baby bear. And I also stamp on my stamping pad too. I think it gives it a better connection. And I'm going to put the little baby bear right behind her right here, like so. Technique number 1, we are going to mask. So important. When you mask, take a piece of copy paper, because this is thin, and if you use like Stampin' Up paper, which is a quality paper, what you're going to do when you mask is you're going to leave a huge halo. What I want you to do is I want you to stamp the mama bear and the baby bear, and then I want you to take the land mass, which is right here. I want you to take the large land mask and stamp that, and the small land mass right here and stamp this, and then I want you to fussy cut that. So I'm gonna go and do that, and I'll be right back. I've already actually cut my mask, so I'm gonna just use my old ones. Now I'm gonna take the tape, the Tombow tape, the green one. I know it's in a pink box, it's only because I lost it. So I'm gonna take the green Tombow, which is this awful tape. It doesn't stick to anything, but it's awesome for masking. So I'm going to take that mask and put a little bit of that Tombow behind it and cover up the baby and the mama like so. I want you to grab that big land mass and kind of figure out how it's done, because this is actually straight. So because you want that mountain to come up, and I'm going to stamp it right here, like so. I want you to take the smaller land mass and stamp it right below the mama bear right here, like that. Now I'm going to take that large land mass and also put the masking tape on there, and I'm going to put it right over the mountain. Make sure that when you put these masks on, they're right over the top so you're not giving a big halo or anything. And then take the small land mass and do the same thing, and just right over where you want that covered. Now take a piece of paper, just a scratch that copy paper again, and you want to figure out your horizon. Now I should have mentioned this before, I'm sorry. When you were cutting out your mask for this land, you want to follow the land itself, not the water, because a lot of this, all the little lines right here are water, and then the vertical lines are actually the land. So you wanted to go around the land mass and cut the water off. So now let's take that piece of paper and put that same snail on there, and I want to find my horizon, and I'm going to put it right where this land just bolts right out. So I'm going to put it right here. Now we're going to do technique number 2, and that's blending. So Stampin' Up now has these blending brushes. And by the way, everything that I'm using in this video is in the description of my video. So if you go, show more, it brings down everything, and I'll show you all the supplies. There's even links that you can click on and place an order directly with me, God forbid, and all the dimensions and all that stuff. Also my host code and anything you want to know about me. So that's in there. Anyway, so we're going to start out with the Balmy Blue. And by the way, when you use a blending brush, you're supposed to hold it like this so you can control it like so. So we're going to take Balmy Blue, and I'm going to tap the Balmy Blue, and I've got a piece of scratch paper under here. I'm going to tap it off, and then I'm going to hold these masks down, because this tape is, it doesn't hold very much, but it's great for masking. So I'm going to hold it down here, and I'm going to circle in. Now my particular Balmy Blue stamp pad is kind of dry, and I like it when it's drier when I'm doing blending, because you can always add. Subtracting is another story, right? So I am just putting on a nice layer of Balmy Blue, and then the next color we're going to use, so we're going to change the blending brushes, and I'm going to be using Misty Moonlight. Same thing. Now this is a much darker color, so I'm going to tap off quite a bit here, circle in, and I'm going to give it a little bit of color. Now I'm not going to push down on the blending brush too much because this is a dark color, so I have to be careful. And do my swirls here. And then the last color I'm going to use is Pacific Point, which is a super, super dark color. So I changed brushes again, tap, tap off, and then I'm very careful. I'm going to swirl in. So our second technique we're learning is when we, first of all, use the blending brush. And you can use sponges and daubers, and there's all kinds of things that you can, you know, ink something. This is just better with a blending brush. And then, you know, hold it like this, tap, tap off, and swirl in. And swirling in will get rid of those, you know, big, you know, circle blotches on your piece. So, and this is where the Shimmery White really does its job, because it's, I know it's hard to tell in the video, but right here it looks really pretty. So that's how we are doing the ocean. I'm just going to darken it up a little bit, and then we'll go to the next step. The next step is we're going to do the sky. So I'm going to take off this piece. Ooh, look at that. That's what we just did. And I'm going to flip it over to the other side. So this is part B of blending. And then take the Balmy Blue again, tap it, and tap it off. And I know my Balmy Blue is really dry. So I know it's going to give a light blue, because I don't want this to compete with the dark blue on the bottom. And every time, by the way, every time you ink, every time I do like a video where I'm inking or whatever, no two cards are alike. So inking is just kind of that kind of beast. So if it doesn't look exactly like what you just did, it's okay, because how much ink in my pad or how much pressure I'm putting on the brush, it all is a variable. So just go ahead and give it a light bit of this Balmy Blue, like so, and let's take off the mask. So that's what it should look like. Technique number 3, we are going to heat emboss, and not only heat emboss, but we're going to heat emboss over some masking too. So it's kind of a combo. So I'm going to be using the clouds, I could have die cut clouds out of Give It a Whirl, but they're a little too cartoony for my taste. So what I did is I took the clouds from Mountain Air. That's why I use that one. And you're going to get out your Versamark. This is a clear stamp, so you do absolutely need the Stampin' Pad. And then also get out some kind of anti-static thing. We used to sell these embossing buddies. I don't know why they took them out of the catalog, but they did. So I grabbed my embossing buddy. That's very important that you put down that powder first, because if you don't, then the powder can go in other places, and when you do it, it's a mess. So let's go ahead and take those clouds. Here is my very abused Versamark. You can tell that I have no respect for my Versamark. And then go ahead and stamp out some clouds, and I'm going right over that mask here as well, like so. And then let's put our lid on this, and I'm using white embossing powder. So I'm gonna go ahead and, because if I use clear embossing powder, it wouldn't show up. So I want these to look like clouds, but not like overwhelming clouds. So that's with the powder on. Now I'm gonna heat emboss it. So I'm just gonna go ahead, and when you turn your heat gun on, give it like, I don't know, 20 or 30 seconds to just really give it a warm up before you start putting it on your piece. So it's nice and warm up now. So now I'm gonna go ahead and give it a little emboss here. And you can see the white embossing powder turn to a totally different color. That's how you know you've got it all. So you look at it, see if you got any little pieces that you might wanna redo, like maybe right over here, and there's the heat emboss. Let's lift off all the masks. So there you go. Isn't that pretty? So I have a confession to make. When I was doing my masks, I forgot to tell you there is a die cut for the polar bears, so you don't have to sit there and fussy cut. You only have to fussy cut the land. So sorry about that. So those dies are here. But the next thing we're going to do, and this is the 4th technique I'm going to show you. And what I'm going to do, and I don't know if you could tell in the video, but I embossed the water with the dye from polar bears. So all you have to do to emboss with a dye is you're going to take your plates here. This is my lovely abused plate. This is reality plate. This isn't like Hollywood video plate. This is my plate. And I've got a big shot. So I'm going to just use my normal layer, which is number 2, which you use 99% of the time, and put this ugly plate on the bottom. And then I'm going to take what they called an impression pad, or actually it's an impression mat. And it's also in the Stampin' Up catalog. And it's on page number 153. It's number 8. It's right here. And this is the only way you can really get a die to emboss. And by the way, if you notice my catalog, I've got all these tabs here. If you place any kind of an order with me and you're new, I'll give you a set of these for free. So it's kind of good, cool. Anyway, back to this. So the impression mat, so you got your base number 2, you got your ugly base plate, you got your impression mat, and you're going to take your piece and the die, and we're going to do it down. And actually, there's kind of a another technique I'm going to do here, and that is I'm only going to do some partial embossing with a die. So I'm not going to use the whole thing. And then I'm going to grab my lovely, this is my delicate frog tape. I think it's the best. I don't know about you, but I can get it anywhere and it's cheap and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to tape that die over, and I'm not going to put a top plate on. Don't put a top plate on, and run it through. So I'm going to run it through just like this. Now I'm going to take this off, and it's got the impression right there. I don't know if you can tell in the video, and then I'm going to take this, I'm going to move it over, and I'm going to do another one right here. So remember, no top plate. And here's the second impression, and I'm just going to put another one right here and run this one through. And there we go. So now we've got this nice water effect here. And by the way, you get 2 of these pads. There's a thick one and a thin one in that pack. And like I said, go to the description of my video and click on the show more, and it'll pull everything up. And there's a bit.ly link you could just click on there. It goes right to my page. You can place an order. You got the part number. You got everything. So that's how you emboss using a die. Now we're going to make this circle opening. Now there are 4 little openings that you could do with this card, and I do it in the Give It a Whirl assembly tutorial that I posted on August 8, 2021. Anyway, so I'm going to take the circle one. So it has a circle and a little doohickey off here with a hole in it. And what you're going to do, now we want the fish in the water. So when we turn this, all they see is a little fishy, right? So they can eat. So I'm going to take this die and that hole right here and line it up with the hole here. Now, when I originally cut this die, the big die, you'll notice there's a bracket going across. And what happens when you emboss using that bracket is you're going to get this impression going across your piece. Tell me, can you see it? Nope. So by doing this whole technique, I've actually hidden that bracket, so that's really cool. But you want to take this hole and line it up with this hole here, because that's where our little brad's going to go through so it spins. And then you're going to tape that down and cut it, and make sure that you're missing the mama bear's head and that you're still in the water there. So I'm going to go die cut this. I'll be right back. So I die cut that out, and so we've got that kind of look. So when you did take out the circle, I want you to do yourself a favor. Keep this, because we're going to use this in a couple of minutes, because there's a trick to making this kind of work and turn a lot smoother than it's really designed to do. So let's move on to the next thing. Now we're going to make the little whirling mechanism here, and the die for that is this one here. And grab a piece, another piece of Shimmery White, because we're gonna blend this one as well. So I'm gonna die cut this and I'll be right back. So we need to color this wheel just like we colored the water. Now, I don't know if you can tell, but there are lines on this piece and they're from the die, and that's okay. Another one of those windows, not the circle one, but this shape, that's what it's kind of there for, but we're not doing that. So anyway, so we're gonna do the same thing like we did before, and that is Balmy Blue with the blending brush. Like I said, mine is really dry, so I have to kind of push hard and kind of do a lot to really get some ink. And I purposely didn't re-ink it because I do like it a little dry. So let's go ahead and continue this. And of course that shimmery white is great with blending, so make sure you use shimmery white. So I got a fair amount of Balmy Blue down. So let's go in with Misty Moonlight. Again, tap that off because it's really dark. And then swirl in so we don't leave a big smudgy, hopefully. And if you get a smudgy in a spot, like I just did that, I don't know how, but I did, probably because I'm sitting down. Let's just stand up. I'm going over with a darker color, that Pacific Point, so I'm gonna work that out there. It's probably on my edges. Okay, and then I'm gonna go in with the Pacific Point, and I am using 3 different blending brushes. And you get these, I think they come 3 in a pack, so it's kind of cool. So I'm gonna go through here and put some Balmy Blue in. Make sure you tap that off, it's a dark color. And get this in like so, and then just get it to match what you've got here. As soon as you've got that, then you are done. So I'm just gonna finish that up, so just like so. Now we're gonna stamp these little fishes, and like I said, this is from Whale Done here, and I'm just using Memento, and just kind of go by how it's gonna go in the card. So you're gonna just go in the circle here all around. Keep following it. And I'm even gonna do another row below it, kind of like that. Like that. And like that. And if you've got a space where you missed a little bit, take like the little fishy at the end, or actually take your chamois. This is in the description as well, this simple chamois, and these are great if you want to do a quick clean off on your stamp. And then I'm going to take it and I'm just going to ink the one little fishy. So I'm just going to ink that one little fishy at the end and kind of look at it and make sure you didn't hit any of the black. So if you missed a spot, you can just take it and let's see, I'll put one like right there, so it doesn't get anything else, you know, marked. So I think the rest of them are pretty good. So maybe just another one like here, just in the dead spots. Now we need to emboss the wheel as well. So take that same piece from Polar Bears, and you can see the sections that, you know, the die made on it there, and just kind of keep it in those sections. So we're going to do like some partial die cutting. So take it and put down a piece of tape and hold it down and run it through the die cutter. Remember, base plate, your ugly bottom plate here, the thick impression pad, and the piece and the die facing down. I embossed that, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this around and emboss every little side here, so it's like you're partially embossing almost the whole thing. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. So that looks all good. It's got all its little waves. Now remember that piece that we took out from the front here. Take your pick tool, and I want you to put a hole right in the middle of that, and then I want you to turn it over, and I want you to put 3 dimensionals on top right around that circle. And we will get to that in a moment because that is part of the assembly, so leave that on there. Now obviously you're going to be using a brad, so there's a little hole here and a little hole here where they line up. Now if I were to put this through like so, it would show, and we don't want to show it, you know, we don't want it to be so obvious, like it's not so obvious there. So actually here's a fit technique. I'm going to take my light Misty Moonlight and I'm going to color the end of this brad, and that's what the dark Misty Moonlight looks on the white tiny little brad. And these are the rounded square brads. They're, like I said, go into the description of my video, there's a little link there, you can see it. But this blending, the water's a little darker, so what I had to do is I got another one out and switched to the dark Balmy Blue, because this one, the one I did here, is just a little lighter, because no 2 blending things are going to be the same. It's just impossible. The last thing now we're going to die cut is this little double arrow thing, and I want you to go ahead and die cut that in basic black. All right, let's start finishing up the front piece here. Let's put a couple of birds, and the birds are of course from Artic Bears, and here is the little birds, and those are great birds, by the way. I think these are some of the best birds they've ever done. And I'm gonna put these birds just right here in Memento. Now let's put some definition to the snow here. So take your mask for the mama and the baby bear and put them back on. And then there's another little stamp in Polar Bear, and it's this one. It's the little mound of the snow. And take your Memento and just give the mounds, like under their feet would be good, here, and to maybe an area that doesn't have, you know, has a lot of white to it. Stamp off the sides, that kind of thing. And like that. I'm gonna take off those masks again, and then we're gonna grab some dark Balmy Blue, and we're gonna give this land and the little mounds some color, because if you look at the Arctic, and when you're looking at glaciers, they're in blue. So I'm gonna do like the side of the glacier here and color that. And then maybe some of this right here along the shore and along here. And then I'm going to take my light Balmy Blue and I'm going to do the mounds. Give a little color. We don't have to color the bears because they're polar bears. And just do all those little things we did at their feet. And maybe these little definitions here, and just give it some definition. So go ahead and do some coloring and finish up. Now let's start doing some assembly. Remember that little circle I had you poke out a hole and put the dimensionals on? I want you to take that and then take your wheel here, put that brad you colored through the hole, flip it over, put the wheel in, and then take that piece that I had you put the dimensionals on and put that in like so, and turn it over without losing your brad like I just did. And this will tell you where we need to put in those adhesive strips. And they look like this. So I have some here kind of pre-cut. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna put them right on the ends. And you wanna do this after you put on that wheel, because I didn't pre-cut these. I put them on first. I went, no, you can't do that because you don't know where that wheel hits. So yeah, anyway, so just take your pieces and put them on the edge. Also push down the little thingies of the brad and take off all your little pieces of tape. And now we're going to get that card base and we're going to put it on the card base. And the last two things is to put on those little arrows. So I'm going to put this here in the middle, and then grab a silicone craft sheet and a fine tip glue, and you can just make a little splotchy little something there. Make sure you put the lid on because these things, you know, it is glue. So I love the fine tip glue. I hope they don't ever get rid of it. Now I grabbed the smallest arrow first. I'm going to dip in a little bit of glue, and I'm going to have that one go right here. And then I'm going to take the other one and grab a little bit of glue, wipe it off a little bit, and then put it this way. And there. Oh, and guess what? We forgot to stamp the sentiment. Uh-oh. Even I forget stuff. So I'm going to do the You and Me, and that is from Polar Bears. And you can really put anything here. This one was just kind of good because it's small. Boy, I hope this works. Otherwise, we're putting a sentiment tag on it and doing it up. It kind of worked. I just take my Stampin' Right marker, and this thing's awesome. It's like $4 in the catalog. This will be on my description here. And you can just fix little boo-boos like that. See, boop, magic, and it's done. So that's the card. So if you want to win the demo card, you have to subscribe and like, and put in the comments your email and say, oh, I want to win the demo card, and I'll let you know if you're one of the 2 people that win it, and I'll put it in the mail. If you're already a subscriber and you've never gotten a demo card, just put in there, oh, I've never gotten a demo card, and leave your email so I can talk to you and get your mailing address. But anyway, that'll do it for me. And look, it twirls. Twirly, 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 twirly. It's so cute. Anyway, that'll do it for me. Thanks. Bye.